Hello everybody and welcome to the May 29th, 2018 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. So the first thing to note is, over the weekend, Ireland officially legalized abortion, or specifically overturned the 8th Amendment to the Irish Constitution, which prohibited abortion in all cases. And I mean all cases. Like, even there have been stories. Secular Talks covered them, the Young Turks have covered them. One was, I think, back in 2012. Where essentially there were these women who were unable to give birth for one reason or another. It would put their lives in danger. And the Irish government said, no, you cannot have an abortion, you have to carry that pregnancy to term. A lot of people looked at that and said, wait, what? And that led, one thing led to another, which led to another, which led to this. To quote from The Guardian, the scale of the victory makes it almost impossible for opponents to challenge the laws that the government must now pass, which are expected to allow abortion on request up to 12 weeks, and under stricter conditions beyond that. Okay, so that's perfectly fair in my mind. You allow it up to 12 weeks on demand, essentially about the first, I think that'd be about the first quarter to a third of a pregnancy, depending on specifically who you ask. And then after that, there's more restrictions on it. I think that's perfectly fair. I think that's perfectly reasonable. You guys know my opinion. I really don't care until about halfway through the pregnancy, and then I think there are some more questions that should be debated. But I keep in mind, I understand this is a very moral issue, and I typically don't go into this on the show. Well, okay, that's not entirely. I go into this from time to time, but only when people are being completely, we need to ban all of it. Which is what Ireland was doing. Huh. I think if you say we need to ban all of it, you're a little far there. You're going a little far there. But not only that, now we get to look at the media. Not in Ireland, though. Instead, in the United States. This hat is okay there. The former editor of Time magazine was at a Council of Foreign Relations meeting recently on fake news, in which he said, quote, my old job at the State Department, and then later said, some people considered me the head propagandist. So let's just go through a few things. One, if you were working at Time magazine, why were you working at the State Department? Like, am I the only one who thinks that isn't Time supposed to be a private corporation? And as for head propagandist, well, of course, he was an editor of Time. Of course, this wouldn't be a surprise for anyone who actually understood what the CIA's been doing for a long time. You see, ever since the 1950s, the CIA began a project called Operation Mockingbird. And what that project was it was a plan to fund things like student organizations, cultural groups, and, well, magazines in order to push CIA propaganda. Some of the places that we know are funded by it include the Washington Post, the New York Times, and, well, take a wild guess what the third one I'm going to say is. Time magazine receives quite a bit of funding from the CIA, is what I'm getting at. Former CIA Director William Casey said, we'll know our disinformation program is complete when everything the American public believes is false. And would it surprise you to know that Operation Mockingbird was never discontinued and still goes on to this day? There was a congressional investigation about it in the 1970s, but the program was still never discontinued. I will leave a full PDF from the CIA.gov website about Operation Mockingbird down below. I should, however, warn you, it is both extremely long, at over 700 pages, 702 to be exact, and heavily censored. Now, to be fair, classification is normal within CIA documents, but let me just give you one example of how of just the censorship we have here. This is from page 51. Oh no, page 52, my bad. Blank said that he had been shown a long list of names and asked if any of them had been involved either with training given the Washington Metropolitan Police Department or the support to the Washington Metropolitan Police Department during the demonstrations. Blank could only remember 3 names on the list. They were then just a giant box, no names. And that is one of the more reasonable examples throughout the document. You'll find a lot of things that we just don't know. Now, again, classification is common, which I guess I'm the only one who thinks that's kind of the problem. But still, just it bothers me a little. You know, mainly because they're hiding quite a bit in a document literally explaining how the CIA took control of a whole bunch of media in order to convince us things that weren't true. Just kind of those things that make you a little nervous to read blank out names, you know? Anyway, that's it. Sorry about the shorter show today, but I couldn't really come up with a better story to end this off on. I'm Ephrom, and good night.